Maybe y'all saw the news out of Nebraska today. Apparently our entire state is gonna go bankrupt in 2 quarters. Me and my husband owned a cattle ranch here, and I can confirm that all of the cattle ranchers here overwhelmingly voted for Trump. We support him, we voted for him.
Farmers are drowning in $561.8 billion in debt. A record high. And the wildest part? Many are still cheering for the guy who helped burn it all down. It's like thanking the arsonist for setting your house on fire. But how did we get here? How did rural America end up bankrupt and still standing ovation proud? Let's break it down. Before we continue, click subscribe below. We don't sugarcoat. We don't protect politicians. We expose what others won't.
The Trump administration has moved to cancel or freeze trillions in federal funding. That includes billions in funding from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. William Brangham is back now.
In just 60 days, sorghum exports to China didn't just drop, they got annihilated, down 94%. That's not a dip, that's a death spiral for Kansas and Texas farms. One farmer said his contract vanished mid-shipment. Imagine that. You harvest your crop, load the truck, and then your buyer ghosts you. That's not bad luck, that's a trade policy backfire. And it's burning the wrong people. But sorghum was just the first casualty. The wheat disaster that followed, even worse.
Careful, but I never want to hurt our farmers. Our farmers are great people. They keep us happy and healthy and fat.
Meanwhile, wheat is in trouble. Export bookings went negative for the first time in over 30 years. That means more cancellations than new sales. South Korea canceled a shipment of 65,000 tons. The Philippines turned around and signed a 110,000-ton deal with Australia instead. That's like a longtime buyer switching suppliers without notice. Why? Because US policy is now seen as unstable. Even though American wheat is cheaper, global buyers prefer countries they can rely on. Russia and Australia are taking over while our wheat piles up in storage. Some farmers are feeding it to livestock just to make it disappear. You can't fix this kind of blind loyalty with facts, but maybe, just maybe, the comments can wake somebody up. Say your piece below. And while wheat withers, another key crop is about to face its biggest betrayal yet by the world's biggest buyer.
Certainty among Wisconsin farmers as China raises tariffs on U.S. imports to 125%.
The top U.S. farm export to China is soybeans.
Well, soybeans have been hit very hard over the last month and a half, really, since the trade tariffs have been announced. I think beans.
China clapped back hard, slapped tariffs, froze permits, and slammed the door on U.S. soybeans. Prices crashed by over 34%.
The big news right now, Donald Trump's tariffs on China are impacting farmers the most, and many of them have buyer's remorse for even voting for Donald Trump in the first place. One of the top products that is tariffed is the U.S. soybean, and U.S. soybean exports, according to CNN, are now subject to a total tariff of 135% because of the 10% tariff imposed in March, along with the 125% tariff announced last week. If you recall, back in 2018, the winner of the first U.S.-China trade war wasn't U.S. farmers, but rather Brazil, because Brazil became the world's leading soybean exporter. And since then, exports to China have grown 280%, while U.S. exports have remained flat. Many soybean farmers in the Midwest actually voted for Donald Trump. They come from states that are red states that voted for Donald Trump consistently, both in 2016 and in 2024. And Trump had long promised exemptions or support for farmers, but they haven't received any bailouts just yet. And some are now even having buyer's remorse because their businesses are going to suffer because they can't export the number of soybeans that they were before. As always, I'll do a full break.
And the same farmers who voted drain the swamp are now drowning in beans with nowhere to sell. But it doesn't stop at crops. The next wave hits the heart of the food chain, and it stinks.
Australia bans, and they're wonderful people and wonderful everything, but they ban American beef, yet we imported $3 billion of Australian beef from them just last year alone. They won't take any of our beef. They don't want it because they don't want it to affect their farmers.
Picture this, 1,000 U.S. meat plants stuck in limbo, permits suspended due to labor shortages and regulatory chaos, shipments rotting at ports, export markets collapsing after China and Mexico slapped retaliatory tariffs in response to Trump's trade war, and now Australia just banned American beef. Why? Officially over safety concerns. But Trump himself admitted they're just protecting their farmers. Translation: America's global partners are jumping ships to shield their own economies from the mess he created. Some U.S. meat sat so long in containers, it had to be destroyed. Cattle futures tanked, and the USDA now expects even lower prices by 2026. Meanwhile, Trump pushes deportation, but guess who works those plants? Immigrants, mostly Latino, the very backbone of an industry he's actively targeting. And yet, some of them still support him.
So why do you approve overall of the president's handling of illegal immigration? Hector, why do you approve of it?
I approve of it because we had for the last 4 years, we've had millions and millions of people that have crossed the border illegally. We've had people that appear on the FBI wanted list that have crossed the border. Gotaways have gone crazy. So you have to do something. In order to do something, and he's only got 4 years to do it, you got to remember that. He's got to take big steps, and that's what he's doing.
Okay. Other reasons why you approve? Justin, you've been critical of him on a lot of things. Why do you approve overall of his handling of the legal immigration?
It all goes back to the point of that if you're here illegally, it goes back to the conversation I had with my parents and other people. If you do something illegal, expect it to catch up with you. You can only run for so long, right? So, on a grand enough scale, other countries do this type of stuff. They're not so nice about it. They throw you in a little sinkhole.
So, Rosalind, you're supportive of the president's immigration policies.
Yes, I find it a very hard question to answer.
Tell me why.
Because, like they said, they came here illegally, and I don't want people to come here illegally. But if they've been here for 30 years, my heart goes out to them that they've established a life here. If they came in the last year, that's not a very long time to say, oh, I haven't committed a crime in a year since the crime I committed coming to the country.
That's the paradox. The same man threatening their jobs still gets their votes. So while exports rot, workers are pushed out, and markets slam shut, something worse is brewing: a credit crisis. Here's where it gets brutal. Loans are drying up. Seed dealers now want cash up front. Fuel prices are climbing, fertilizer and feed costs are rising, and farmers maxed out on credit cards, stuck between debt and drought. According to the USDA, U.S. farm debt is projected to reach $561.8 billion in 2025, up $19.8 billion from last year. At the same time, net farm income is also projected to rise. It doesn't make sense on the surface. It's like earning more money but falling further behind on your mortgage. But even that chaos is nothing compared to what's coming next: the loss of the very programs meant to protect these farmers. Imagine working your whole life to qualify for USDA support and waking up one day to find it's gone. That's what happened to Jennifer Gilkerson. Her program funding wiped out.
They're not just cutting one program in a small amount, they're completely cutting programs in their entirety, multiple programs. I don't think we have a chance. It's very stressful knowing that in just a couple weeks we're supposed to have 10 workers that want a paycheck. They need a paycheck, and we don't have any money sitting in the bank to pay them. We can't pay them. I'm losing my mind over it.
And billions the USDA usually spends buying farm products cut without warning. And yet these same farmers show up to rallies and applaud even as the support systems they rely on are being torn down. And that's the moment it all starts making sense, because this isn't about economics anymore. It's about identity. And this is where it all comes full circle. These farmers aren't voting based on financial survival. They're voting to defend a cultural identity, even if that means losing the farm. They're backing a man whose policies have hurt them and still asking for more. It's like a rancher supporting the guy who shut down the cattle auction and somehow still saying he gets us. And yet, somehow the applause keeps getting louder, even as the house burns down around them. The very people being hurt the most are the ones defending the policies doing the damage. We make these videos to spread the truth, even if only 1 out of 100 people finally wakes up. If that's a mission you believe in, hit like and subscribe. It helps us keep going, and it helps the truth reach the people who need to hear it most. So the next time someone says Trump is the farmer's president, just remember, Farm debt is at $561.8 billion. The safety nets are vanishing, and farmers are hanging on by a thread.